During a hunt, a boar was angrily chasing a man. When the boar was finally caught, the man told his comrade named Rain that it was now up to him to finish the job. Using his axe, Rain hacked the boar in the back. Seeing that it caused some damage, Rain tried to hack the boar once more but was surprised when it grabbed the axe with its mouth. Taking advantage of the boar's defenseless back, Lars jumped and stabbed it. Enraged, the boar kicked Lars off. More people then started to appear, each launching their own attack. Finally, the boar was killed after Rain hammered his axe into the boar's head. After successfully defeating the boar, a woman smiled as she was sure that their victory would increase their rank to C. Having been able to defeat the boar with their teamwork, Lars teared up, reflecting on how far they had come over the past 3 years, and expressed his love for his teammates. However, Lars sensed some indifference from his party members. To his surprise, the woman told him that he was fired. She explained that they were aiming for the top and had to let Lars go in order to achieve it. Compared to the rest, Lars was considered a second-rate warrior even after 3 years, with the woman pointing out how Lars was only good at dodging and acting as a decoy. Lars was in shock as he received thanks from everyone for his service, all while they ignored the time they had spent together. Depressed, Lars went to the guild and told the receptionist that he wanted to change jobs, as he no longer saw himself as a warrior. After recounting his life as a warrior and how his party had abandoned him, Lars expected to receive sympathy but was instead confronted with the harsh truth about the world. When the woman asked Lars if he had already decided on his next job, Lars responded that he had not, as he was still searching for one. Before Lars could leave, the receptionist suggested that they check his job compatibility, as she was certain it might have changed over the past 3 years. Confused, Lars asked what job compatibility was. The receptionist reminded Lars of the aptitude test he should have taken when he joined the guild. However, the woman was shocked when Lars shook his head, indicating that he had never taken one. Realizing that Lars had never undergone his aptitude test, the receptionist hurriedly grabbed his hand and dragged him into a room. A man then entered and explained to Lars that they had somehow skipped giving him an aptitude test during his initial registration. Before instructing Lars to place his hands on the ball, the man reassured him that the result might reveal a different suitability besides being a warrior. As the ball slowly revealed the result, both the old man and the receptionist were shocked. They discovered that Lars was most suitable for magic, failing to assess this earlier. Lars looked very puzzled as he was told that he had the highest compatibility rank for magic. After taking the test, the guildmaster, along with the other staff, apologized to Lars for their incompetence and advised Lars to head to the Magic Guild immediately, and reassured Lars that he would inform the guild that he would be coming. Thanks to a clerical error 3 years ago, Lars had ended up registering as a warrior by mistake, never expecting that he had the capabilities of using magic from the beginning. Entering the Magic Guild, Lars was surprised at how huge the place was, comparing it to a church. A woman then greeted Lars, calling him the Platinum Boy. Blushing, Lars thought that the woman liked him. However, after introducing herself as the guild's priest and looking at Lars from head to toe, the woman expressed her disappointment, informing Lars that he was no platinum. Believing that there was some sort of mistake, the priest told Lars that they would just have to do a more thorough examination. Arriving at the training grounds, the priest instructed Lars to use his magic and shoot the dummies. Lars explained that he had never done magic before and might need a warm-up. The priest told Lars that he didn't have to warm up, since a beginner could also cast magic as long as they said the right words. Repeating how she doubted that Lars was a platinum, Lars felt a familiar pain after seeing the look the priest had given him. The priest then showed Lars how to cast a magic fireball by telling him to say the exact words she said. Following the priest's instructions, Lars said the incantation but was shocked to see that nothing was happening. Lars then sensed a sensation as though his blood was flowing out from his fingers. Wondering if he was losing power, all of a sudden Lars felt his hand burning. It was already too late for Lars to realize that he had cast a huge fireball, destroying not just the dummies but also the surrounding buildings. The priest was shocked at what she had witnessed and asked Lars what he had done. However, Lars also couldn't explain as he had only followed the priest's instructions. Still releasing huge fireballs, the priest asked Lars to turn down the strength of his spell. Although Lars had received an order to weaken his magic, he himself had no clue how to do it. Left with no other option, Lars pointed his arm towards the sky, releasing the fireball up above. The huge explosion caused the whole city to shake, removing the clouds from the sky in the process. When people noticed the commotion, they wondered if some explosion had happened. The priest then grabbed hold of Lars, telling him that he was the real deal after all, Witnessing Lars's raw power with just a beginner-level spell, the priest was sure that Lars was way above average. With Lars's powers, the priest was confident that he would become a great sage. Apologetic for the behavior she had displayed earlier, the priest then handed Lars a pen and paper, hoping that he would sign and join the Magic Guild. All of Lars's doubts disappeared after his display. Still feeling the warmth in his right hand, Lars believed that with his one ability, a new opportunity had opened up for him. Registering his name, Lars told the priest that he had no idea what a great sage and a platinum even were. After completing his registration, the priest then told Lars how she looked forward to working with him. When Lars was told to return to the guild after 3 days, he asked if there was still some paperwork he needed to fill out. The priest told Lars that he no longer had to fill out anything and that she would just introduce him to his mentor. A woman then entered the room and introduced herself as Tesla, Lars's new mentor. After introducing himself to Tesla, Lars thought that mages always worked alone and would never meet a mentor. The priest tells Tesla to change her behavior, as she would just confuse Lars. The priest then asks Tesla to warmly greet Lars. Feeling embarrassed, Tesla then asks Lars if he wanted to join her party, expressing how she needed Lars. The priest could not contain herself anymore and ended up bursting with laughter. Since new recruits needed someone to show them the ropes, the priest hoped that Lars would get along with Tesla. After Lars received the white cape, it meant that his registration was complete. After equipping Lars with the new cape, the priest then informs him that the mage's rank is divided, which is marked by the color of the cape. For S-ranked mages, they wear a black cape. For A-ranked, they wear red. For B, it is purple. For C, it is green. The D rank wears the blue cape. The E rank wears yellow. And lastly, the new recruit wears white. Since Tesla is wearing a black cape, it proves to other mages that her rank is the highest. Lars could not believe that such a tiny girl would have an S rank, the highest rank. Tesla asks Lars not to judge her by her appearance and that she is also very curious about Lars. When Tesla mentioned the huge fireball in the sky, she knew that it wasn't just a normal fireball. Tesla then bids farewell to Holly the priest and asks Lars to follow her. Lars was surprised when Tesla informed him that they would now be looking for a job. Looking at the board, Tesla jumped very high and grabbed a paper. Lars was shocked when Tesla chose to defeat a forest dragon for their first mission. Since Lars had just started in the Magic Guild, he asks Tesla if they could slow down and take on a more suitable quest. However, Tesla still chose to do the quest and reassured Lars that he would be fine. For the first lesson, before they meet the client, Tesla asks Lars if he knows the magic system. When Lars responds that he has never heard of it, Tesla explains that it is the most important thing that all mages should know. Tesla then asks Lars to sit down and close his eyes, instructing him to be aware of the magic power inside him. Confused as to how he could be aware of his magic power, Lars was then told by Tesla to imagine his blood flowing through his body and focus on each individual cell afterward. When Lars mentioned how he could feel himself getting warm, Tesla thought that it was a good sign and instructed Lars to feel the warmth flowing through his entire body. As Lars struggled to control his magic, Tesla then informs Lars that she will put her hand on his back. Sensing how Lars had already gathered so much power inside him, Tesla then instructs Lars to imagine that he is sweating all of his energy out of his body. Following Tesla's instruction, Lars's actions allowed him to release a strong gust of wind, including his magic, making him feel much better. Tesla was very much impressed with Lars' power, as she did not expect that Lars would surpass her in terms of magic strength. Thinking that Tesla might be joking or trying to raise his spirits, Lars then tells Tesla that he felt so great and that his body felt much lighter. Tesla explained that in common cases, gathering so much power is supposed to make the user strong. However, in Lars' case, since he had so much magic, it made him weaker instead. Shocked, Lars asks Tesla if the reason why he had never gotten stronger after training every day was because he had too much magic. Tesla can't give a definite answer, but she leans toward the possibility that Lars' magic is the cause of him being so weak. Lars felt frustrated as he thought that he had wasted 3 years of his life becoming a warrior when he could have focused on becoming a mage. Tesla comforts Lars, informing him that it is not yet too late for him to learn, and that he can also use his experience when the time comes that he needs strength over his innate ability. With Lars's unique warrior training, Tesla believes that Lars would be more powerful than ever, and suggests that Lars believe in himself even more. Lars did not want to be betrayed by false hopes anymore, but after hearing Tesla's words, Lars couldn't help but believe in them and in himself. At the village of Tacha, Lars and Tesla met up with the client and learned more about the quest they were about to take. In addition to taking down the dragon, the client wished for Tesla and Lars to look for a party that had gone missing. The party that the client had sent to observe the dragon still hadn't returned. The client was in a hurry to protect the village's herb supply, so he requested the party's help behind the guild's back. When Tesla asks if the party has a name or rank so that they can be identified, Lars ends up spitting out his tea when the client mentions the salt wings. Before leaving, Tesla informs the client that looking for the party would cost him more money, which the client did not mind. Walking through the jungle, Lars explained to Tesla that the salt wings were his former party that had kicked him out. As Tesla questions Lars about his old party, especially the girls, she then summons a golem that has the form of a wolf. Lars couldn't help but be amazed by the golem. Tesla explains that her golem can sniff out any scent of makeup that Lars's former teammates usually wear. With the golem moving forward, Tesla believes that her golem has already located the salt wings. After following Tesla and the golem, Lars ended up exhausting himself. Tesla then apologizes as she forgot to teach Lars magic to strengthen his body. As Lars follows the instructions that Tesla is giving him, he slowly feels his body burning, but in a good way. When Tesla asks Lars to jump, he was surprised as he did not expect to jump so high and ended up landing on his back. Lars asks Tesla if she did anything, but Tesla responds that it was all Lars. Since it was Lars' first time, it was expected for his movements to be clumsy. Sensing a presence nearby, Lars warns Tesla. When the monster finally emerged from the trees, Lars was in shock at how huge the monster was. Based on the monster's size, Tesla estimates that the monster is around 1,000 years old. Now, up against the monster that they are tasked to defeat, Lars becomes scared and suggests that they forget the dragon and just find the salt wings instead. However, Tesla reminds Lars that it is their job to take on the dragon. Rendering the dragon unable to move further, Tesla chanted a spell called 7 Demon Summoning. With the dragon being held in place, Tesla then instructs Lars to summon a lightning bolt into her hand, so that she can finish the dragon off. When Lars chanted the spell, he did not expect the spell to be so powerful that it ended up killing the dragon with one shot. Tesla praises Lars for doing a good job, expecting great things from her apprentice. While inspecting the corpse of the dragon, Tesla found out that the dragon was female. Curious, Lars asked what it meant if the dragon was female. Tesla points out that the dragon wouldn't have been alone, surviving for 1,000 years, meaning that it has a mate. Seeing another dragon fly up into the sky, Tesla then orders Lars to go after the dragon. However, Lars couldn't open his eyes since the strong wind caused by the dragon had lifted Tesla's skirt. While following the male dragon, Tesla informs Lars that male dragons are weaker than female dragons. However, male dragons make up for it with their perceptiveness, making them tricky to defeat. Seeing Lars's face all red, Tesla asks him if he is okay. Lars responds that he is just not used to his new life yet. Though Lars helped defeat a female dragon, he still could not believe that he is capable of using magic. Seeing that the dragon is still not coming down, Tesla assumes that the dragon is preventing them from finding its den. Tesla tells Lars that if his former teammates caught sight of the treasure and entered the den, it would put them in a dangerous situation. Knowing his former teammates, Lars is confident that they've already gotten in. After getting licked by Tesla's golem, Lars is asked by Tesla why he is so worked up. The golem then hurriedly leaves, making Tesla believe that it has found the salt wings. Finally locating the dragon's den, Tesla wonders if they will find treasure or the corpses of the salt wings lined up in a row. Tesla uses a magic spell that emits light. Believing it to be a spell that imitates a torch, Lars tries to copy Tesla. However, Tesla stops Lars, reminding him that he still can't regulate the strength of his spells. Since the cave is very fragile, Lars's power may just cause the whole place to explode. While walking inside the cave, Tesla warns Lars to watch his step, and Lars almost falls into a pit. Seeing a rope, Tesla guesses that someone is already ahead of them. Using the rope, Tesla jumps and walks on it. The moment Lars tries following Tesla, he ends up slipping and is now grabbing onto the rope. Tesla then goes back, purposely stepping on Lars's face and leaving him to watch his step. Since Lars is unable to walk on the rope, Tesla is left with no choice but to carry Lars. Embarrassed, Lars finally asks to be put down. Seeing a mountain of treasure, Tesla senses a presence and uses her magic to reveal the person hiding behind the rocks. Lars is surprised when he sees his former teammates. The salt wings are also confused as to why Lars is in the dragon's den. Riru assumes that Lars entered the den with the intention of looking for the treasure. However, she is corrected by Tesla, who informs her that they came to defeat the dragon, and that looking for them is their second priority. Rain and the other members of the Saltwings laugh at Tesla and Lars for attempting to defeat a dragon. Tesla does not care what the Saltwings think of them and suggests that they just follow so that they can get out of the cave. Riru thinks the whole situation is a joke, as she does not believe that Lars is capable of defeating the dragon, mocking him, and ordering Lars around like they used to. As Lars is about to do what Riru asks, Tesla stops him and asks Lars if he is trying to throw away his life. Tesla then lectures Riru, asking if she thinks that sacrificing Lars is some sort of joke. Riru explains that a man should go first, but when Tesla points at Rain, they then respond that Rain is very important to their party. The Saltwings then continue to insult Lars, calling him useless. The Saltwings laugh at Lars and Tesla when Tesla tells them that Lars is currently the strongest inside the cave. Tesla agrees that Lars may have been the weakest as a warrior, but as a mage, he is the strongest. The Saltwings continue to insult Lars, even calling Tesla a liar, as they would never believe that Lars could be a mage. Lars has had enough of his former teammates' insults and tells them that they have never paid attention to him because of his rank. While Lars is letting his frustrations out, everyone is shocked when they see the dragon behind Lars. Tesla then tells Lars that this is his chance to take down the dragon on his own. Tesla instructs Lars that all he needs to do is power up and blast the dragon with the strongest fireball and lightning he can. Tesla suddenly grabs Lars' coat, apologizing to him for speaking for him in front of the others, not expecting an apology from Tesla. Lars tells her that it is fine. Tesla encourages Lars by telling him that his experience as a warrior was not for nothing, and suggests that he show his former teammates who he is now. Following Tesla's advice, Lars calls the Saltwings, telling them to watch how he will deal with the dragon. After channeling his magic and focusing it on his right hand, Lars waits for the dragon to make a mistake. When the dragon tries to attack, Lars immediately moves away and punches the dragon right in the face with his fist full of magic. The Saltwings cannot believe what they have seen as they witness Lars knock the dragon down. With his newfound confidence, Lars plans to show everyone the strength of his magic. While dodging the dragon's attack, Lars wondered if what he was following was caused by a wind spirit, since he felt like he could blow away all the treasure with his power. When Lars finally got closer to the dragon, he landed a kick right at its face. However, he did not expect that the dragon would counterattack right away, and ended up getting swatted away by the dragon's tail. Lars was very grateful that he had learned how to strengthen his body, as he was sure that the dragon's attack would have shattered his bones to pieces. The Saltwings were in shock and amazed by Lars, wondering where he had learned how to fight. As Lars continued to evade the dragon's attacks, he became worried for Tesla, as she had almost gotten hit by one of the dragon's fireballs. When Lars asked Tesla why she did not dodge the attack, Tesla responded that she would not be doing anything to defend herself, leaving the task of defeating the dragon all to Lars. Shocked by Tesla's words, Lars also knew that Tesla was doing it for his benefit. As Lars continued to fight the dragon, he wondered what type of attack he could use, since he couldn't use big spells. Lars then thought of an idea and charged right at the dragon. Since Lars was not allowed to use magic to blow the dragon away from the outside, he thought that he might be able to blow the dragon away from the inside instead. After getting closer to the dragon and landing an uppercut, Lars then used magic inside the dragon, killing it in an instant. Witnessing Lars's fight, Tesla thought that Lars's idea was smart. Lars then mentioned how he had remembered Tesla's words that he was not allowed to use too much power, which led him to use his magic inside the dragon. Tesla praised Lars for a job well done, and informed him that he would be known among mages as the one and only dragon slayer. Embarrassed to wear such a title, Lars told Tesla that he still had a long way to go for him to have a title. Tesla was pleased with Lars's answer and suggested to Lars that they go back to the guild and start his training properly. Out of nowhere, Ruri came running towards Lars and pushed Tesla away. Ruri grabbed Lars's hand, telling him that he was welcome to rejoin their party, as she was confident that they would become an S rank with Lars in the party. Lars refused the offer, but Ruri insisted on Lars joining, informing him that he could now have a share of the cut and would no longer have to do their chores. Lars expressed how he no longer wanted to return to the Saltwings after how he was treated before. Lars' decision became clouded after Ruri tried to persuade him, offering him more than just treasure. However, Lars's decision remained the same, and he pushed the ladies away. Aside from their looks, Lars informed Ruri and the others that they were the worst. Angered by Lars's words, Ruri then started to paint Lars as a bad guy after inviting him and having their offer rejected. Tesla did not want Lars to interact with the Saltwings anymore and informed him to stop talking with them and that they should retrieve their treasure. Rain then confronted Tesla, telling her that it was their treasure since they were in the dragon's den first. Tesla explained to Lars that even if they were the first ones to arrive, they still would not be able to touch the dragon's treasure, since they were not the ones who defeated the dragon. Rain mentioned that he had never heard such a thing before and thought that he might have to use force to stop Tesla. A man then appeared from behind, pointing his blade at Tesla's neck. Seeing how the situation had already escalated, Ruri introduced their new member, Jekyll. Tesla told Rain that she too loved using force. Using her magic, Tesla was able to subdue both Jekyll and Rain by summoning hands from the ground. Picking up the knife that Jekyll was carrying, Tesla mentioned that she had never seen an assassin before and smelled poison on the knife. Lars finally realized that the people he was with before were the worst of the worst, as they would even kill someone to obtain treasure. Unable to contain his emotions, Lars laughed while tears ran down his face. Seeing how their plan had failed, Ruri and the others then tried to make a run for it. Unfortunately for them, Tesla had no plans of letting them get away. After subduing all the members of the Saltwings, Tesla asked Lars if he wanted payback for how he was treated before. Lars told Tesla that the Saltwings were just too pathetic, and that he did not have the energy to even waste on them. Lars called himself stupid for trusting such people for so long. Tesla believed that trusting people was not stupid, as she explained that what had first interested her about Lars was his strong magic power, but now it was his ability to trust people. Getting involved with others frightened Tesla, but with Lars as her partner, Tesla did not mind. Riding a carriage back to town, the two were completely exhausted. Since they had obtained lots of treasure, Tesla told Lars that it was up to him how he spent his money. However, Tesla recommended that Lars buy some enchanted equipment like her rod, as such an item was necessary for controlling one's magic. Before falling asleep, Tesla lastly recommended to Lars that he purchase a house where he could rest and replenish his magic. Though a house was very expensive, hearing how Tesla called it their house, Lars couldn't help but be tempted to buy one. Arriving at the guild, Lars woke Tesla up and suggested that she change her clothes before going inside. Holly greeted the two and was surprised that they were somehow late. Lars explained that Tesla took some time changing her clothes. When Tesla handed over her clothes, Holly was shocked to see that all her capes were ruined. Lars took the blame for what had happened to Tesla's clothes, telling Holly that he was just a burden to Tesla. Holly had already heard about what happened on the quest and felt sorry for Lars's former teammates. After dealing with his former teammates, Lars was promised by the Adventurers Guildmaster that he would be lenient with the Saltwings. For the reward for their mission, Holly informed Lars that the treasure they found was a sum of 400 million ruts. Lars turned pale, as he did not expect the amount to be so huge. Tesla informed Lars that with his power, he would be able to make even more than what noble families had. Holly also believed in Lars's ability and was certain that he would surely reach the top very soon. Due to Lars's recent accomplishments, Holly congratulated him as he was now promoted to rank E. After receiving a new robe, Lars felt that he did not deserve the promotion yet as he had just started. Seeing how modest Lars was, Tesla told him that it was also okay to be proud of his talents. Tesla also saw the benefit of being modest and timid, as people like that were known to live longer lives, while having too much confidence brought no reward. Understanding Tesla's point but still choosing to wear the white cape, Lars had finally gotten used to it and wished to fight using it. Realizing that they would not be able to change Lars's mind, Holly gave up and accepted his rejection of the promotion. When the two finally left the guild, Tesla noticed that Lars was very nervous. Lars explained that he was holding so much mithril that it was making him anxious. Since Lars had received a huge lump of money, Tesla suggested that they purchase an enchanted item. When Lars mentioned how relieved he was to finally have the money to buy a house, Tesla looked confused and asked why he wanted to purchase one. When Lars responded that it was Tesla who had told him to buy a house, Tesla ended up getting embarrassed, sensing that she may have said something she shouldn't have. Tesla then informed Lars that she would have to think more about the house, to which Lars simply agreed. On their way to purchase an enchanted item, Lars felt a bit uneasy about the area they were in and asked Tesla if she was sure there was a shop selling enchanted items nearby. When the two reached a dead end, Tesla used her staff and knocked on the floor. Out of nowhere, a staircase appeared. As the two walked down and entered the shop, Lars did not expect to see so many items inside. The two were then greeted by an old woman. As both Tesla and the old woman recognized each other, the old woman asked Tesla about Lars's identity. When the old woman assumed that Lars was Tesla's boyfriend, Tesla became embarrassed and informed the woman that Lars was her pupil. After Lars introduced himself, the old woman, in response, introduced herself as Rodri, the shop owner. Rodri laughed at how polite Lars was, since it was very rare for mages to be polite. After informing Rodri that she wanted to purchase an enchanted item for Lars, Tesla added that they needed an item that could handle very strong magic. Rodri became intrigued when Tesla mentioned that Lars's magic was far stronger than hers. Rodri showed the two a variety of items meant to control how one's magic power flows and suggested that they examine the enchanted items very carefully. When Lars grabbed the items one by one, he felt something odd and told Rodri that the items did not seem to be controlling his magic power. When Tesla asked Rodri to show the moon ring, Rodri was surprised. However, Tesla believed that it was worth a shot to let Lars try the item out. While trying to figure out the other items, Rodri then approached Lars and instructed him to try the ring on. Lars panicked upon learning that the ring belonged to the first great sage. Seeing Lars doubt whether he was worthy of wearing the ring, Rodri tried to calm him down, as she believed that it was his time to try it on. The ring was said to be incredibly valuable and immensely powerful, as many mages had tried using it but could not handle its power. Lars remembered the story Holly had told him about the first sage who overcame calamity and founded the Magic Guild. After putting the ring on, Lars felt incredible, as his power was swirling around him so calmly. Seeing the ring working compatibly with Lars, Rodri shed tears, as she had finally found someone who could use the first sage's relic. Tesla was no longer surprised that Lars could use the relic, as she had already witnessed firsthand that Lars' power was indeed platinum level. Upon learning that Lars was a platinum level, a level that only a few had reached, Rodri was sure that Lars would be a big help to the Magic Guild. Rodri held Lars's hand, hoping that he would stay devoted, as it would help him reach the level of the first sage with the help of the moon ring. Lars was very pleased to hear such compliments but did not expect the price to be so steep, as Rodri asked for 20 million ruts for the ring. Rodri laughed and explained that she normally wouldn't sell something like the first sage's relic, but was making an exception for Lars since he could actually use it. Rodri then grabbed an item she wanted Lars to have. Rodri hoped that Lars would take care of the magic egg, instructing him to give the egg some magic 3 times a day. Based on the quality of the magic the egg received, the type of creature that would be born would change. Receiving the magic egg, Lars was very eager to see the creature that would soon hatch. After purchasing the moon ring, Tesla then told Lars that it was now time for them to buy some clothes. Lars was confused as he thought that he still looked fine. However, Tesla pointed out that their outfits were already quite tattered. Lars was hesitant at first, but was then swayed when Tesla grabbed his hand, telling him that she felt like going shopping. Lars felt pleased that Tesla held his hand but was surprised when she suddenly dragged him into the middle of the street. After some time, the two had bought tons of things. However, Tesla still didn't think that it was enough and suggested to Lars that he think of what they were doing as strength training. Seeing Lars getting exhausted from carrying all of the items, Tesla suggested that they rest and get something to drink. With the two finally taking a break, Tesla brought up the topic of the house. She explained that it was normal for a party of mages to live together in order to recover their magic power. Since Tesla had always worked solo, she never had the chance to live in a house. When Lars offered for them to live together, he became a bit embarrassed and told Tesla that his offer sounded ridiculous. Since Lars's trial period was over, Tesla asked if Lars wished to form a party with her, allowing the two to live under the same roof. Lars was very happy, wanting Tesla to be his mentor. The day Lars acquired the moon ring, which allowed him to control his powers, signaled the beginning of his training with Tesla. In addition to learning the basics of using magic, Lars also learned about magic itself, famous mages, and magic history. After 1 month, Tesla took Lars to a location where there were lots of ruined buildings. Tesla explained that the place was the old Magic Guild training grounds. Lars felt very nervous as he noticed Tesla acting strangely. Tesla notified Lars that his real training would start today, but before they began, she informed Lars of a condition. Since Lars had only just awakened his powers, Tesla was sure that there were lots of things that Lars did not know about. Lars was speechless when Tesla asked him how he wanted to use his powers and whether he wanted to be a hero or was even aiming to become a great sage. When Lars responded that he did not yet know what he wanted to become using his powers, Tesla understood, but reminded Lars that what she asked of him was something that he would need to figure out. The reason why Tesla asked those questions was for Lars to understand the essence of a mage's existence, and she hoped that Lars would soon figure out what kind of mage he intended to become. In the old training grounds, Tesla had laid various traps from where they stood to the goal. One of Tesla's golems would be waiting for Lars at the end, which he would have to face and figure out how to defeat it. Lars unfortunately stepped on one of Tesla's traps, releasing an arrow that injured his face. Realizing that he would have to get serious during training, Lars then strengthened his body. Lars knew that his power was strong enough for him to lose focus, which Tesla also agreed with. Lars no longer wanted anything to stand in his way and wanted to give Tesla an answer that she would be satisfied with. The moment Lars took another step, he immediately activated a barrage of traps. Trying to avoid the arrows, Lars rolled over and hit the back of his head against a wall, opening his eyes. Lars was surprised when a pillar was about to pin him down. Fortunately for Lars, he had enough time to avoid the pillar. Lars realized that his lack of fitness was one of the obstacles that he would have to work on, as he was already running out of breath even after strengthening his body. Using all that he had learned from his training, Lars tried calling forth a fire sword. Before Lars could get a hold of the sword, he was surprised when a trap suddenly activated, injuring him even more. Curious as to where the attack was coming from, Lars looked up and learned that the attack was coming from a floating object. After figuring out the source of the attack, Lars then jumped towards it, destroying it with his fire sword. Meanwhile, Tesla was waiting patiently for Lars to reach the goal of the training. With more pillars appearing and entrapping Lars in one place, he instantly destroyed the pillars with just his fire sword. When Lars heard a screeching sound, he was surprised to see the same object that he had destroyed earlier. Sensing danger, Lars jumped to the side, saving himself from another surprise attack. As Lars huddled and thought of ways to destroy the floating rods, he also realized that the rods started attacking him the moment he charged up his magic. After charging his fire sword even more, Lars realized that the flying rods were reacting to his sword after the flying rods launched another wave of attacks. Lars had finally figured out that it was not him that the flying rods were targeting, but rather the magic he was releasing. As Lars released his magic, he also followed the links back to the source, and eventually figured out a strategy for defeating the flying rods. While deflecting the shards, Lars wondered if magic could even be used to detect other magic, and having that thought in mind interested him even more. Lars was very amazed and impressed at Tesla for being able to set up such intricate traps all on her own. After defeating the flying rods, Lars finally reached the goal of the training. However, he was a bit confused, as he remembered that Tesla had told him he would be facing one of her golems. Unbeknownst to Lars, the golem was buried underground. Fortunately, Lars was able to figure out where the golem was placed and dodged its surprise attack. Using a fireball, Lars destroyed the golem and immediately went to the source of the magic, cutting the traps off. After hitting Tesla's head, Lars realized that he had hurt Tesla and immediately apologized for it. Seeing the light of Lars's sword looking a lot closer to gold instead of the color of flames was proof of the purity of his magic. After Lars completed his training, Tesla once again asked him if he wanted to become a great sage. However, Tesla was surprised when Lars responded that he wasn't particularly leaning toward the goal of becoming a great sage. Lars's new goal was to encounter many different types of magic and mages. Lars understood that what he said was not the answer that Tesla wanted to hear. But after finishing the training, Lars had figured out what he wanted to become. Lars told Tesla up front that he wanted to surpass her and all of the S-ranked mages. Wanting to surpass all of the S-ranked mages, Tesla believed that it would also put Lars on par with a great sage. Somewhere on a barren land, a man asked a woman named Shale if they should take a rest. However, Shale told the two that she was fine, and that they should have waited for reinforcements. Shale was in a hurry as she sensed something bad was about to happen, and had to tell everyone. 10 days before Lars's true training, Tesla was teaching Lars how to manifest a fire sword, which Lars eventually succeeded in doing and used in his training. Praising Lars for casting the sword, Tesla then instructed Lars to maintain the sword and cast one more. Lars was surprised, as he did not expect that Tesla would ask him to dual wield. After successfully casting another fire sword, Tesla then instructed Lars to continue with triple wielding. Tesla informed Lars of an S-ranked mage named Luda, the Crimson Knight, who could wield up to 10 fire swords at the same time. Since Lars announced that he would surpass all of the S-ranked mages, Tesla informed him ahead of time who he would be up against. Tesla explained to Lars that unless he was highly skilled in swordsmanship, casting 1 or 2 swords would be considered a beginner spell. However, if Lars was capable of manifesting a large number of powerful fire swords, then the beginner spell would become an intermediate spell or even an advanced spell. Curious, Lars asked Tesla how Luda could wield 10 fire swords. Tesla responded that Luda had solved the problem by making the swords fly instead of holding them. Tesla then pointed out to Lars that all he needed to do was make the fire swords fly on their own. Lars then changed his training from casting more swords to making them appear and fly. Tesla advised Lars to imagine the sword growing wings and flying. By doing so, Lars could turn short-range magic into long-range magic. Following Tesla's instructions, Lars ended up changing the form of the sword into a huge firebird, letting it fly. Successful in making his magic fly, Lars was then scolded by Tesla, who informed him that there would be no point in the training if he couldn't maintain the form of the sword. Tesla suggested that they take a break so that Lars could regain his concentration. The Acre Central Library is known to be the second largest library in the kingdom, after the Royal Library. While taking his rest at the library, Lars was reading a book containing information about Luda, the Crimson Knight. Lars learned that Luda is a mage who specializes in the fire element and is also a member of the Royal Mages Guild. Lars thought that Luda sounded very cool after reading that only a few people had seen Luda's real face. When the librarian saw Lars heading toward a door, she called out to him, informing him that the direction he was headed was off-limits to regular patrons. After apologizing to the librarian, Lars was amazed that even magic libraries had books about forbidden magic, even owning secret rooms. Not looking at where he was headed, Lars ended up bumping into Shale. The two apologized to one another. After explaining that she was in a hurry, Shale asked Lars if he was hurt anywhere. Lars responded that he was fine but was surprised when he noticed that Shale's arm was bleeding. Although Shale told Lars that the wound was fine, Lars could see that she was lying and immediately wrapped the wound with a cloth. After thanking Lars, Shale then said her farewell and went in the direction of the special room. Lars was about to inform Shale that she was not allowed there when she cut him off, signaling him to be quiet. After chanting a spell, a magic circle appeared beneath Shale's feet, causing her to vanish. Surprised at what he witnessed, Lars became frightened, hoping that what he saw was not a ghost. Going back to his training, Lars was still thinking about Shale and how weird their interaction was. Shifting his focus to training, Lars set his goal to run one lap around the city. Lars stopped momentarily to take a rest and estimated that he had already reached halfway. Hearing a noise nearby, Lars investigated where it was coming from and was surprised to find a woman swinging a sword. Impressed by how fast the woman swung her sword, Lars was curious as to how many times the sword had been swung. Unbeknownst to Lars, the woman had already noticed him and told him that it was rude to peep. Lars was asked if he had any interest in the sword, but before he could answer, the woman suddenly threw a sword at him. Lars caught the sword and was surprised at how heavy it was. The woman explained that the sword only looked like a normal wooden sword, but in reality, it was made of lead. The woman reassured Lars that by swinging the sword 10,000 times a day, he would become strong. Lars could not believe that one could even swing it that many times. He then tried to swing the sword once and ended up failing hilariously. After his workout, Lars returned to his inn and thought about how he had met some weird women in just one day. The two women Lars met reminded him of Tesla a little as they showed elusiveness. Returning to his training with Tesla, Lars could now manifest 2 fire swords and make them float. However, he was still unable to properly control them. Instead of being disappointed, Tesla praised Lars for showing much better control than before, but she also noticed that Lars was trying too hard. Tesla then advised Lars not to think about the speed of the blade and to just concentrate on where it was headed. If Lars could successfully apply Tesla's instructions, she was sure that the sword would fly to its target, naturally. Out of nowhere, a spatial transmission magic appeared. When Tesla approached the magic and obtained a paper, she then informed Lars that they would be going back to the guild as someone she knew had returned. Returning to the magic guild, Lars noticed that there were way more people than normal. Tesla explained that Shale, the guild expert on ancient magic literature, had returned from the ancient ruins. Shale would be giving her report about her investigation. Tesla also expected that Shale would bring magical artifacts for appraisal, and that half of the mages currently present were hoping to take one for themselves. Seeing Tesla very excited, Lars asked her if there was something she wanted. Tesla revealed that she was hoping to get a spell book and planned to start negotiating with Shale as soon as the appraisal was over. Lars was shocked when Tesla informed him that she had already set 2 billion ruts aside for bidding. Lars asked Tesla if the group of mages nearby was who she was up against. Tesla was sure that the party only came to watch and was more interested in shiny new things over ancient artifacts. Pointing to the cloaked guy in the shadows, Tesla expressed her concern toward him as she had lost to the cloaked guy the last time she entered the auction. As time passed, Tesla became frustrated that Shale was running late. When Tesla suggested that they leave, Lars thought that Tesla had given up on the artifact. It had been ages since the last investigation report, and Tesla had really been looking forward to it. When Tesla finally made her decision to give up, she then noticed Shale running toward her. Seeing Shale for the second time, Lars finally realized that the woman in the library and the expert in ancient literature were the same person. Shale asked Tesla to come with her, informing Tesla that something bad had happened. Tesla tried to calm Shale down and asked what had happened. After investigating the Uyghur ruins, Shale expressed her regret to Tesla for not properly forming a party for her investigation. All of a sudden, a huge explosion occurred inside the Magic Guild, surprising not just Lars but everyone else as well. Shale became frightened after seeing the Magic Guild burning. Tesla then comforted Shale after noticing her behavior. Inside the Magic Guild, many mages were injured and were rushed to the infirmary. Meanwhile, the mages who could still fight were defending the guild from monsters that had appeared out of nowhere. After saving the others, a mage then informed the injured mages to leave the monsters to them and help the others. Upon investigating, the special mages found summoning magic carved into the floor. After the incident, a meeting was held for all guild leaders, including all mages and staff. It was reported that around 100 people were wounded and half of the building was in ruins. Shocked by the extent of the damage, a woman suggested reaching out to the main branch for help. However, other leaders opposed the idea as they did not want their branch to be embarrassed, suggesting that they should just deal with the problem on their own. Seeing that no member was in sync with the others, the branch director, Galar, had enough of their bickering and ordered everyone to be quiet. Galar reminded the others of the main purpose of their guild, but with the recent attack, he noticed that they had practically failed in their main purpose and even caused harm to the people of Acre. Galar was frustrated that their power and influence could turn to nothing if they just idly waited for something to happen. Wanting to take action, Galar gave the order to gather all mages who were still mobile, put together a party, and take the enemy down at once. At the central wing reception hall, Lars approached Shale asking her if her wounds still hurt as she looked very pale. Recognizing Lars from the library, Shale explained that she had no idea Lars was a mage and apologized for making him worry. Lars thought about how lucky they were to have been outside the building at the time of the explosion. When Lars saw Tesla staring at him and Shale, Lars realized that he was still holding Shale's hand, which he immediately let go of, not wanting to create any misunderstandings. Galar stepped out of the meeting room and informed everyone that he would be taking full command of the guild. Galar proposed forming a party to track down the enemy and asked for those who had confidence in their abilities to step forward. Lars smiled after seeing all the mages unite under one goal. Since Galar had already proposed tracking down the enemy, the mayor asked if he had evidence as to who the culprit was. After informing the mayor that he did have evidence, Galar then instructed everyone inside the guild not to tell anyone what he was about to say. Galar then showed the rock that had the summoning magic engraved on it, informing everyone that it had been found on the floor of the guild hall. Galar believed that the culprit had entered several rooms containing magic barrier stones and formed a summoning circle directly on the floor of the room. With the information they had so far, Galar and the people he had tasked with investigating deduced that the enemy was not only a mage, but also a member of the Magic Guild. The news surprised everyone, as they did not expect that one of their own would try to harm their beloved guild. Shale could no longer withhold the information. Raising her hand, she told everyone that she had an idea as to who the culprit was. Shale explained that on the way back from Acre, after investigating the Uyghur ruins, her party had been attacked and the attackers stole a rare artifact. Shale was so focused on the findings of the investigation that she didn't notice the attackers. She shared that the magic she had felt then was exactly the same as the one she sensed during the Magic Guild attack. Revealing a pentagram, Shale explained that when she woke up, the pentagram had been placed next to her. Recognizing the pentagram, Galar revealed that it was the sign of a black mage. The news caused an uproar, making everyone concerned for their safety. Holding Lars's robe, Tesla asked Shale if the pentagram was what Shale had been trying to say earlier. Seeing Tesla tremble, Lars realized that he had never seen Tesla shaken before and tried to calm her down. When Tesla asked Shale what artifact had been stolen, Shale responded that it was a spell book. Shale explained how she had entered the restricted area to look for clues, as she couldn't decode the ancient book. Galar then asked Shale if she knew that the room was forbidden, which Shale admitted she did and apologized for entering. Shale did not mind accepting any punishment, but only after she had reclaimed the artifact, as she felt wholly responsible. Galar was surprised when Tesla volunteered to join, explaining that she had wanted to bid on the ancient book. Seeing that they had promising prodigies as part of their mission, Galar deduced that the Black Mage attacked the guild to stop Shale from coming after them after stealing the artifact. Galar announced that whoever completed the mission would receive a special reward and asked if there were any more volunteers to take down the enemy. The enthusiastic mages, who had previously volunteered, now vanished, very much concerned after learning that a Black Mage was involved. A woman in a black cloak called out to Galar, asking permission to join the mission. The mages immediately recognized the woman as Tsubaki. Galar was surprised and curious as to why Tsubaki, an S-rank mage known as the Solitary Samurai, wanted to be part of a team. Although all the mages who volunteered had always worked alone, they were still ranked as high mages, making Galar believe that they might be able to defeat the Black Mage with their powers combined. With the hunting party formed, Galar instructed the rest of the mages to take turns defending the guild hall. Tsubaki expressed her joy at seeing both Tesla and Shale again after so long. The two were also happy to see Tsubaki once more. Tesla, on the other hand, hoped that Tsubaki would show them how strong she had become. Seeing how close the three were, Lars wondered if they were friends or rivals. Tesla and Shale were surprised when Tsubaki suddenly interacted with Lars. Tsubaki explained that she had just had a good workout session with Lars and nothing more. Tesla then formally introduced Lars to the two as her apprentice, which surprised them. The two then began to doubt Lars based on his appearance. Looking at the three women, Lars was sure that they were the strongest party in Acre. Determined to do anything so that he wouldn't hold the party back, Lars vowed not to let the Black Mages continue to be free and do whatever they wanted. While taking a bath, both Tsubaki and Shale were very much eager to know as to why Tesla took Lars as an apprentice. Tesla was silent for a moment before telling the two that she was just curious about Lars. Shale's eyes glowed from the news, assuming that Tesla had finally fallen in love. Tesla immediately clarified that what she saw in Lars was merely his potential in becoming a powerful mage. Shale mentioned that she would have offered to help if Tesla really did fall for Lars. With the time she spent with Lars, Tsubaki could tell that Lars is very good with people. Tsubaki assumes that Tesla felt like her troubles would go away when she was with Lars, which Tesla confirmed. Upon hearing Tesla's answer, Shale immediately jumped to the conclusion that it was love. However, the other two were not in the same boat as her, making her feel embarrassed. On the day of their departure, Lars apologized for coming in late. Shale and the others didn't mind, as they themselves had also just arrived after taking a nap. The moment Shale saw Lars, she was surprised that Lars was able to carry so much luggage. Lars does not know how long the search for the culprit would take, so he decided to bring all the necessities he needed to be comfortable when camping out. Shale was very impressed with Lars's forward thinking, expressing that Lars is the first one she had met to be so prepared. When Shale approached Lars, he suddenly moved away, which left the others confused. Lars explained that he gets really nervous about being involved in a big party. Puzzled by Lars's reasoning, Shale grabbed Lars's hand and reminded him why he was shy now when he was able to talk to her normally, and even held her hand. Sensing an ominous aura from Tesla, Lars tried to remove his hand while explaining the cause of his trauma. Tsubaki told Shale to stop pestering Lars, pointing out that Lars was embarrassed. Tsubaki then informed Lars that he didn't have to worry about matching their skills and that all Lars needed to do was to take things at his own pace. Lars then thanked the two for their consideration and advice. To start off their journey, Shale asked for Tesla to make a boat that was both light and sturdy. Using her magic, Tesla was able to create a small boat that could fit all of them. Lars was confused as to why they were taking a boat, pointing out that they did not know which direction the culprit was headed. Shale explained that according to her calculation, the culprit was headed north. Since the culprit did not use transportation magic to escape, Shale guessed that the culprit left on foot and took the shortest route of the country, which is the Udis River in the north. After hearing Shale's explanation, Lars remembered the exact place where they planned to cut the culprit off. It is known that no one at Lars's level when he was still a knight would return if they entered the Arbus Valley. Everyone then entered the boat and followed Shale's calculations. Lars was surprised when the boat suddenly floated. Shale advised the others to hold on tight as the ride would be very bumpy. At an intense speed, Lars and the others flew. Curious, Lars asked everyone about the Black Mages. Shale responded that for them as white mages, Black Mage was equivalent to a taboo phrase. Since Lars did not know about the black mages, Tsubaki guessed that Tesla had never told Lars about them. Seeing Tesla nod, Tsubaki assumed that Tesla did not want Lars to be involved with the black mages. Black mages are a group of heretics who wish to exterminate all humans, achieve their ugly ambitions, and perform human experiments. If one becomes a high-ranking mage, they are sure to encounter a black mage. Tsubaki also believed that sooner or later Lars would face a black mage since his mentor is an S-ranked mage. Lars appreciated that 2 S-ranked mages were worried for him, but Lars made it clear that he too wanted to fight. Lars wanted to use the mission as an opportunity to let loose his uncontrollable magic. In order to protect everyone, Lars would not hesitate to use his magic to blast the black mages away. Both Shale and Tsubaki were impressed with Lars's speech and were rooting for him. As the party arrived at the Arbus Valley, their ride was suddenly shaken by a strong gust of wind. After Tesla jumped off, the rest then fell as the boat turned over. When Lars finally woke up, Tsubaki asked him if he was okay. Based on their surroundings, Tsubaki believed that they had landed at the bottom of the valley, but she was still curious as to what had saved them. A more pressing matter was that the place where they landed had sealed off their magic. The two wondered if the bottom part of the valley was the dungeon heard of in rumors. Shale panicked as she realized that she couldn't use her magic. After Tsubaki calmed Shale down, Shale explained to Lars that she had no way to defend herself, unlike Tsubaki who had a sword. Although Shale showed a smile, Lars knew that Shale was very scared. Tsubaki then explained that she was in the same boat as everyone, revealing that she couldn't remove her sword from its sheath. Tsubaki reassured Lars that nothing bad would happen, promising that she would smash the sheath of her sword just to keep the 3 of them alive. Lars felt bad that the others had to act strong in front of him just so that Lars wouldn't panic and be scared. Lars understands that the situation right now is scary enough to bring even an S-rank mage to the brink of despair. Lars could only think of one thing at times when they were about to lose hope. In front of the 2, Lars tried to cheer them up while making funny faces. Lars was then able to calm the 2, reassuring them as well that they would be fine as long as they were together. To ease the tension even more, Lars shared how nervous he still was about being a part of their party. Worried about what others might think of him, Lars felt sad that no one wanted to depend on him even though they were all comrades. Lars hoped that the 2 would watch over him, as he would even dare to use his bare hands to face his enemies. The 2 finally showed an honest smile, believing that Lars was truly special. And not just because of his innate abilities, Tsubaki started investigating what had happened to them, asking Shale if the boat had just happened to fall out of the blue. Shale responded that as they got lower, her magic started to get weaker and weaker. Tsubaki believed that the mist above was the thing sealing their magic. Lars then volunteered to take care of the mist and suggested that the others stay down. As Lars continued to climb up the cliff, Tsubaki and Shale eventually lost sight of him. When Lars turned around, he did not expect that he was already high enough that he could no longer see the bottom. Even though Lars's hands were now full of blisters and blood, he still did not want to give up after everything he had said to Tsubaki and Shale. When Lars finally reached the top of the cliff, he was able to use his magic once again. After enhancing his body to full power, Lars thought of an idea and hoped that he was not wrong with his plan. Closing his eyes, Lars jumped off the cliff and blew the fog away. With Lars's strong magic, not only did the fog vanish, but it was also strong enough to knock Tsubaki and Shale down. After clearing the fog, Lars then emitted small traces of magic, creating a barrier to keep the mist from coming back. When Lars returned, both Tsubaki and Shale were amazed at how strong the magic Lars displayed was, making them wonder if Lars was truly a beginner. Lars explained that his plan had a 50% chance of working. Seeing that she could unsheath her sword, Tsubaki could tell that her magic was back. When Shale finally felt her magic return, she realized how much she had depended on it. As the 2 thanked Lars for saving them, Lars responded that he wouldn't have survived without Tesla's intense training. Shale then realized that Tesla was with them and asked the others if they had seen Tesla. Worried, everyone immediately started looking for Tesla. On the search for Tesla, Lars remembered that Tesla had jumped off first before everyone else fell from the boat. Since the fall was pretty high, Lars wondered if Tesla was still able to use her magic despite the mist. Shale was not sure of Lars's theory, but believes that Tesla may be safe after seeing the boat still in one piece. The 3 became worried for Tesla's safety, hoping that they could find Tesla first before the enemy did. Lars and the others heard a voice calling for his attention. When Lars followed the voice, the 3 were surprised when they saw Tesla lying on a flower bed. Lars tried to approach Tesla, but instead he was almost cut in half as vines started appearing from underground. The voice revealed how it wanted the three to walk around the valley aimlessly, but because of Lars's strong power, the plan had failed. Lars and the others were then greeted by their enemy, who revealed herself as Ludo, a black mage. Lars was shocked as he finally saw a black mage. Tsubaki asked Ludo to release Tesla. However, Ludo had no plans of following Tsubaki's request, tightening her grip and threatening Tesla's life. Ludo was very much intrigued by Tesla, just as she was with Lars. Tesla noticed the mist Ludo had created, impressing Ludo. However, Tesla's actions led to her fall as she tried to protect Lars and the others from the fall. Ludo mocked Tesla's choice, stating that no one in the ranks of the Black Mages would dare to do what Tesla did. Ludo eventually gave up on having Tesla join their group and now had decided to make Tesla her personal plaything. Lars could not take the treatment Ludo was showing to Tesla and asked to take her place instead. Hearing Lars' offer, Ludo found Lars' sacrifice disgusting but still accepted the idea. With Lars now in her grasp, Ludo ordered Lars to show his true ability. Sensing Lars' pure magic, Ludo couldn't wait to dye Lars' magic with black. Out of nowhere, the plant that had been holding Tesla was thrown at Ludo's head. A weak Tesla then ordered Ludo to leave Lars alone. Lars was surprised as he had thought that Tesla's power had returned. However, it was revealed that Tesla was still powerless after throwing all of the plants at Ludo. Confused, Ludo asked Tesla how she had released herself from her trap, as she remembered that Tesla's magic had all dried up. Shale explained that while Ludo was so focused on Lars, she had sent her familiar to Tesla, giving her some magic. Tsubaki then fully removed all the traps around Tesla's body using her sword. Before the three could share a moment after being reunited, Ludo then used her powers, taking Lars with her. To Ludo's surprise, Lars suddenly grabbed her by the mouth, inserting his magic into Ludo. Ludo felt so much pleasure after receiving so much pure magic from Lars. However, her greed ended up backfiring as Ludo exploded after taking in so much magic. Lars was surprised as he did not expect Ludo to disintegrate. Shale explained that what Lars had destroyed was just a golem that looked like Ludo, revealing that Ludo preferred to hide in the shadows. Shale was very much impressed by Lars's tactic and believed that the Black Mages were now scared to their core. When Tesla mentioned that Lars was capable of such powers because he was a platinum, both Tsubaki and Shale were surprised as they had just learned such vital information. Tesla apologized to everyone for making them worry. Tsubaki warned Tesla not to repeat such reckless moves again. After gaining a hefty amount of magic from Lars, Tesla expressed that she now felt refreshed, but still felt that something was off. Based on the makeup of the golem, Tesla believed that Ludo specialized in earth magic. Putting her hand on the ground and releasing multiple spikes, Tesla's attack proved to be successful as Ludo was blown away. Ludo was confused and asked Tesla how she had found her location. As a mage that specialized in earth magic as well, Tesla sensed Ludo's magic as it reeked of pure sinisterness. With Ludo's true form revealed, Lars was a bit disappointed, as he had assumed that the golem was Ludo's exact copy. Wanting to prove her superiority over Tesla and the others, Ludo chanted her magic and slapped the ground. However, Ludo was very confused as to why her magic was not working. Shale revealed that after Lars had created a barrier to protect them, she had also created a barrier of her own, giving permission for only white mages to use magic. Not wanting to deal with Ludo's vulgar mouth any longer, she then used her magic to subdue Ludo. Seeing how Ludo was persistent in keeping a secret about the stolen spellbook, both Shale and Tesla proposed an idea of torture. Lars remembered Ludo mentioning that it was almost complete. Lars grabbed Ludo by the rope, asking Ludo what it was about. Ludo tried to make fun of Lars, but immediately cowered after Lars attempted to smash Ludo's face with his fistful of magic. Not wanting to get smashed, Ludo revealed that the demon Formaid's resurrection was upon them. Hearing the name of the demon, Lars grabbed Ludo and asked if she was referring to the demon that rampaged through town hundreds of years ago. Lars assumed that the story about Formido was just a legend, and nothing but a fairy tale. Ludo then reminded Lars of the reason why their party had chased after her to the valley. Shale realized that it was all related to the stolen spellbook, after which she asked Ludo if she had been able to decipher it. Ludo revealed that the book was full of demonic scriptures and that they were helping a man who wanted to use the book. Laughing maniacally, Ludo assumed that the resurrected demon was already causing chaos in town. Lars fell to his knees, unable to believe that they had fallen right into the Black Mage's trap. Meanwhile, a guard in the town was patrolling the border when he immediately turned pale upon seeing a huge demon approaching. The guard immediately sounded the bell, informing everyone of the demon. With the news of the demon coming toward town, all of the citizens immediately left their homes and moved to the evacuation cellars. An old man was asked by his grandchild if he intended to run away. The old man responded that running away was senseless, as he believed that the mages were strong enough to defeat the demon. All of the available men who could move and fight went to the front lines to face the demon. However, they immediately froze in fear as one roar from the demon almost blew the adventurers away. The adventurers, who were known to be very courageous, were now filled with fear, doubting their weapons against the demon. A face suddenly popped out of Formito's chest, laughing and mocking the adventurers' guild. The face introduced himself as Laswell, the person who had summoned Formito in order to achieve a demonic form and become immortal.